Hello, my name is Sip Mendez. Welcome to Sip's Handy Tips. And I've been doing a few videos on keyboards and digital audio workstations, a DAW, D-A-W. And what I want to do today is do a video about the Alesis V49 MIDI controller. And they call these controllers because they're not really musical instruments as such. They're not really that different from the keyboard on your computer. They're all just a lot of switches. And some of them are variable switches and some are just toggle switches. And some are just what they call push switches, I guess. They click either on or off, but they click off by themselves. And the toggle, you actually flip it and then you have to flip it back. So that's a small difference. Okay, so let me show you what my keyboard looks like. This is my Alesis V49 keyboard. It has 49 keys, 8 drum pads, 4 knobs, a pitch wheel, a modulation wheel, 4 assignable buttons, and it also has up and down buttons for changing octave. I believe there are 3 models in the V series, the V25, the V49, and the V61. And other than the number of keys, I believe they are all the same. They all have the same setup. The first thing you need to do is you need to go to the alesis.com website. Click on Products, find the V49 or find your particular keyboard. Download the Alesis editor. Mine was the Alesis V49 editor. And once you download that file, you need to extract the files within and then install it. I'm running Windows 10 and I did not have to download any additional software. I was able to easily extract the files and do the install. Let me get my screen capture program ready and we'll look at that process. So the first thing you should do is get familiar with the menus. File, Open, Close, Save, Hardware, Get Settings, Send Settings. You can use these choices or you can use the ones down here. Options, that's where you pick the device that you're going to be programming. Windows, minimize, bring to front, and then open user guide. There really is a user guide there. It's a PDF, and you can read it or you can save it and print it. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is go over to Options, Device Setup, click on V49. V49. These other ones, I do not know what that is. Someday maybe I will experiment with it. For input, output, the Microsoft GS wavetable, I do not know exactly what that does. And again, out, I think it sees this keyboard as being 2 keyboards is what I think it is. Or maybe you can set 2 different settings. I do not know. So I'm going to click on Open. And then I'm going to tell it to go and get the settings. It says preset successfully retrieved from the hardware. So now I'm going to show you my settings. And knobs, that refers to these 4 knobs across here. Switches refers to these 4 switches, or they're just hard buttons. Then drum pads refers to these 8 drum pads, refers to these 8 drum pads. Keybed is all of the keyboard, the black and white keys of the keyboard. Mod pitch, that's the pitch wheel here that makes your notes go up and down in frequency. And then modulation, I really do not know what that does. I've played with it and it has done nothing. And then there is sustain That refers to setting up your sustain pedal. It plugs into the 1/4 inch socket on the back. So let's start with knobs. These are my settings for these 4 knobs. And I don't think I've changed anything on this. Everything is defaulted. CC refers to change code. And these can be set to change code and after touch. I do not know what that after touch is, so I leave these things alone. Channel 1, that's the basic channel that this is putting out on. You can change that, but you got to change it everywhere. It refers to these knobs as being change code 20, 21, 22, and 23. The minimum value when they're turned all the way to the left is 0. The maximum value when you turn it all the way to the right is 127. The next, the switches. These 4 switches here. There are 2 types of these switches. You can, well, actually 3. You can use them as toggles, or you can use them as momentary. Program change, I do not know what those do. So on a momentary, it means when you press it, a signal is sent. When you release it, it goes back to 0. Okay? And notice that switch 1 and 2 are momentary. Switch 3 and 4, that's the 2 bottom ones here, 3 and 4, those are set to toggle. That means you have to press it to turn it on, and you have to press it a second time to release it. These switches are numbered 48, 49, 50, and 51. When pressed, they send a signal of 127. And when they are in the off position or released, they send a 0. Okay, that's fine. Drum pads. Now this is the fun part. If you want your keyboard to play 2 different instruments at one time, for instance, if you want your keyboard to be a piano or an organ or any other keyboard instrument, you send it on one channel, which I've chosen channel 1. If I want the drum pads to work also and be drums, then I have to send those to a different channel. I selected channel 10. Other people use channel 3, I understand. Okay, so you can decide what you want to do, but you got to remember which channel you picked when we go back to the digital audio workstation, to Ableton or Cubase. So, okay, I think that's so the drum pads. Okay, fixed, I have no idea what that is. Note, that is what note on the keyboard is going to be sent. And these are set to 49, 41, 42, 46. If you click on this little arrowhead over here, these are the other 5 drum pads, these 5 drum pads. They are on channel 10. They are notes 36, 37, 38, and 39. This was set up for drums, so these are actually particular drums and cymbals that will play. And they are curve 8. The keyboard handles 8 different curves. With curve 8 means that when you press it, it's going to play full loud, the full volume. Curves 1, 2, 3 through 7, they control how hard you have to hit the keys, how quick you have to hit the keys, things like that. You have to experiment with them until you find something that's comfortable for you. But since I'm a beginner, I just want the note to play. Your key bed, which is your black and white keys, they are on channel 1. Transpose is set to 0. I do not know what that does. They are on octave 3. That means when you bring it up, middle C will be in the middle of your 49 keys. You can use the octave up, octave down to shift the entire keyboard over to the right or to the left until you cover your 88 keys. These are also set to curve 8, which is full loud whenever they're pressed. Modulation and pitch, they are also channel 1. They are change code 1. Minimum value is 0. Maximum value they send out is 127. Pitch wheel is on channel 1, whatever that does. Sustain, that refers to your sustain pedal. It's on channel 1. It's change code 64. There are 2 types of sustain pedals that you can purchase. That which is open all the time, or that which is closed all the time. So, if your pedal doesn't work properly, reverse these. Change press to 127, change release to 0. Also, some pedals have a switch that will do this for you at the pedal itself. It will switch it to a different kind of pedal. It might say on off, it might say negative positive. And that's about it. Once you've made your change, once you've done this, you need to save your changes. You can go back to main and you can send it back to the keyboard. You click on send. You will not get a confirmation. There's nothing to show you that it's been saved, but it's been saved. Okay. If you want to have several setups of your keyboard that you can swap out when you're working on different types of music perhaps, you can save your presets to the hard drive. I keep mine in this directory here. These are my settings. I called it SIP Settings V49. I can click on it, I can save and replace it. So if I have different needs, I can save different copies of those settings. If I want to load settings that I've saved before, all I do is click on Load Settings, select the one I load, and I'm ready to go. It looks like we're getting some input. I can tell by looking at these here. When I hit a key on the keyboard, but I'm not getting any sound. And that's normal because I do not have an instrument. So starting with this one here, MIDI number 1, I'm going to go and select an instrument for it. I'm going to go get a piano for it. And I'm just going to get this grand right here. Okay. And you can hear that it's got a voice now. So it does have a voice now. But when I hit my drum pads, I also get sounds. On the second channel, I'm going to select a drum for it. I'm going to go over here to drums. And there was a nice one here. This one is called Kit Core Chromatone. When you click on them the first time, it tries to play a little. Say it plays a little bit for you. I was going too fast there. And that's fine. Now I'm over here. Now let's see what's happening here. Now if I hit the keyboard, it's making drum sounds down here. If I hit the pads, I'm also getting drum sounds. That's typical. So let's go back to the grand, and it's listening right now to all instruments from all channels. So let's change that. Let's change it to listen to the Alesis 5 or V input. Okay, and we want it to listen only to channel 1. And on the drum kit, we want it to listen also to the same device and listen only to channel 10. Okay, so now if I hit the drum pads, I get drums and cymbals. If I press the keyboard, I'm not getting anything, but he is listening to it, Slay. He's listening to it. So right now he's on auto. If I pick grand, and I put him on in, he will get keys from the keyboard, but he will get drums on the drum pads. And that's how we want it to work. So that's the first thing you have to get. And these knobs right now, I believe, are assigned to something else. Yeah, they're assigned to these 4. And so it doesn't reset. So I'm going to assign them to these 4 down here instead. And this is how you would do it if nothing had been set. You go up here to the little MIDI button, click on it, and you notice things change colors. To set it, all you need to do is click on the control you want to set, then turn the first knob. So I'm going to turn my first knob here, and he says 120. So that is channel 1 and change code 20. Click on the second one, turn the knob, and it says channel 1 control change 21. Click on the next one, it says 22. Click on the next one, which is volume, and that's going to be 23. And that's all you have to do. Then turn it off, and magically, when I turn the first knob, attack changes. When I turn the next knob, they have to synchronize. So that warning message is when the knob is in the position where 60 is, then that control will work. These are, they're not endless knobs or controls or trims. They have to sync up with the actual on-screen control. So now tone, when it gets there, it'll sync up, and now it'll control it. Volume, when I get to 0, there decibels, it will now control it. And that's pretty darn easy. Huh? The next thing I want to do is assign these 4 buttons for play, stop, record, and then this plus sign is for overdub. It allows you to either replace what's already there or append to it. So again, all you have to do is go to MIDI, click on play, and press button 1. And you can see it says 8. Okay, the total description doesn't show up in that box. Next, click on stop, and we're going to press button 2. Next, click on record, press button 3, and click on this one, this overdub, and hit button 4. And then turn off MIDI edit, and you're ready to go. I recorded a few notes. There are 2 buttons over here. And if I click on this one, I can actually swap windows. If you have 2 monitors, you can put these on 2 different screens. But by swapping them, I'm still in my recording frame. Yes, good. So over here, a while ago I had it on in. You can set it on auto, and that way it'll play whenever you want it to play, basically. Otherwise, if it's on in, it only takes input. So using my buttons, these are the buttons up here. If I hit stop, it brings it back to the beginning. If you hit play, it will play what it recorded. Now let's, I'm going to highlight this. Hit delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. And let's see if I can record. I'll put it on in so that it is doing. Stop, rewind it. Okay. So it stopped, rewind it. We need to make sure that record is on, enabled. Hit 3. And then I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit turn off number 3. It's a toggle, so you have to toggle it again. Hit stop to rewind it, as you noticed. Hit play. We have to put this on auto. Again, we can stop it, rewind it, make sure this is on auto, press play. So we're going to stop. And one last tip is this little window down here. It's really good. It's called Info View, and it really helps you with things. It gives you a short explanation or hint of what each control does, and it's very, very handy. If it's not on right now, go up to View, click on Info. So that turned mine off. You notice how this slid over because that little window disappeared. Click on View, click on Info, and there you have your little info window, and it's really, really helpful. If you find this video useful, click on like. If you're not a subscriber, click on subscribe. It's quick, it's easy. You can leave comments, ask questions. That really helps. Comments, yes. I need comments. Your comments are very important to me. They really help me understand what you want to see, and that helps me plan my next video. So until next time, take care.